This is Library Nerds with Words, the podcast that gives you the word on all the cool, nerdy happenings at Peter White Public Library and the library universe beyond. From books and concerts to search engines and story times, the library nerds are in and ready to show you that being a nerd can be cool. Get ready, get set, get nerdy. Welcome back to Library Nerds with Words, the podcast where you get the word on all the cool things happening at Peter White Public Library and the library universe beyond, straight from the mouths of the people who know it best, library nerds. I'm Marty Acketts, the adult programming coordinator for Peter White Public Library, and joining me in Nerdminster Abbey is Nerd All-Star Emily Couts from the Circulation Department. Welcome back to the podcast, Emily.
I'm very excited for today. I'm very excited.
I am so excited too. You know, the last time that you visited the podcast, we talked about adaptations and remakes that just didn't have to happen. And there were quite a few of them. And I can hardly wait to find out what mysterious footprints we're going to be following today. Yes, that is a clue as to what Emily and I will be speaking about. Of course, Emily, the circulation desk is always busy at PWPL. You never know who's going to come up and what questions or requests that you're going to have. You know, one day you might have someone looking for a book about Mothman. You know, there's another clue. There is never a dull moment in the circulation department. However, before we get into what is lurking in the shadows of your mind today, Emily, we have to play a little game called Word on the Nerd. I'm going to ask you 3 library nerd questions about yourself, and you have to answer them for the listeners. So, Emily, are you ready to play
Word on the Nerd?
Okay, Emily, this is going to be another little game of Would You Rather. I'm going to ask you 3 Would You Rather questions, and you have to truthfully answer them for the listeners. And all of today's questions have something to do with mysterious or mythical creatures. Okay, so Emily, here is your first question. Would you rather go on a Bigfoot hunting trip for a vacation, or would you rather go on a Loch Ness Monster boating/diving expedition for a vacation?
Well, okay.
Yes.
First and foremost, I feel like I would have more success with the Bigfoot expedition rather than the Loch Ness Monster one, considering that the Loch Ness Monster one, all of those have been debunked by those who have taken the pictures out. But the Bigfoot ones, we have so many things and casts and all that stuff. I'd get more out of going there. However, I think the Loch Ness Monster one might be a little more fun because you get to dive. And it's probably a much better climate.
Probably.
I think the Loch Ness Monster one would be more fun.
More interesting for you? Now, do you think that the Loch Ness Monster is just a bunch of hooey?
I have no idea, considering that like the first sighting I think was way far back. Because then we didn't have pictures or anything. And there's also been other like types of lakes that also have their own little sea monsters in them, like Champy and Lake Champlain. So, no, I just feel like just because we have more proof on Bigfoot right now, but that doesn't say that the Loch Ness Monster doesn't exist.
Okay. I would go with Loch Ness simply because I get to get out of the country and I get to go to Scotland, which is a place where I've always wanted to visit. And, you know, even if I'm on a boat and I don't see anything, I'm still in Scotland.
Oh,
know? So I get to try a plate of haggis if I want. I don't think I would, but I have a friend who is actually like from Cornwall and stuff, and he says that haggis is really good.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm going to take his word on that, though, because I'm not going to sit down with a plate full of haggis. Yeah. Anyway, so, all right, so now, Emily, the questions might get a little harder from here on out. So here's your second question. Would you rather have Chupacabra as a roommate, or would you rather have a Jersey Devil as a roommate?
Okay. This actually might be very simple of an answer.
All right.
And that would be Chupacabra.
Why?
the reason behind that is because it'd probably be more like a dog, considering that the theories are it's just a dog with mange. And if it really does just want goat blood, I can probably just get goat blood from some place and just feed it like a dog. And then I have a dog there. Whereas the Jersey Devil is literally a demon. And it will make smoldering footprints all over my damn apartment.
So, yeah. Chupacabra, you could call him Choopy.
Exactly.
You know, and just have a little bowl that says Choopy.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. So, I'm totally with you on that. I do not want to live with a demon.
No.
I have a 15-year-old boy who's practically a demon that lives in my house. So, I would rather go with a Chupacabra pet.
Oh, yeah, you know, 100%.
I totally get the logic there. All right, here's your last question. Would you rather be captured by a family of Yetis, or would you rather be abducted by aliens?
This one is hard. This one's difficult because I don't know either's intentions at all. The climate, I could probably say, is probably going to be better on that spaceship rather than in the Himalayas. But I feel like, oh God, I have no idea. Because, like, again, it's the intention part. Like, if I get abducted by a nice, like, group of aliens, like in Star Trek or Star Wars or something like that, yeah, sure,
Fine,
I'd go with the aliens. Who cares? They're like people.
Yep.
But, like, if they decide to probe me, that's a different thing.
Or, like, make you an attraction in a zoo.
Exactly.
You know,
That's
that kind of
different.
a little different.
But, like, with the Yetis, like, they could be nice. They could keep me warm in the Himalayas. They all have nice fur, like, you know, body heat.
But you also have to live in the Himalayas.
Yeah, I also have to live in the Himalayas, and I also might get eaten.
Yeah. Or you might get, like, engaged to a little Yeti, and suddenly you're the love slave of a Yeti.
Oh, God. I mean, I might be a love slave to an alien, too.
But, you know.
Considering all of the books that are coming out about alien love interests and stuff like that.
You know. So, what do you want to give birth to, then, is the question. Do you want to give birth to an alien hybrid, or do you want to give birth to a Yeti hybrid?
Okay. I feel like I'd have the better time giving birth to a Yeti, considering it's probably more compatible with genes, rather than an alien that might rip me apart, considering xenomorphs and stuff like that.
And maybe eat you after it's born, you know, that kind of thing. So, all right. Well, do we have a consensus then? Is it?
Oh, yeah, it's the Yetis.
It's the Yetis. Totally Yetis. Okay. I want to see outside the universe, so I'm going to go with being abducted by aliens. So,
okay.
But, you know, I might be the one that actually ends up being impregnated if that's the way. You know, so I'm not sure that that's a pleasant experience. I have no idea.
If South Park has any indication on how that's going to go, I wish you the luck if that happens.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we have come to the end of this monstrous edition of Word on the Nerd, this time with Emily Couts from the Circulation Department here at PWPL. So now we are going to squash any more guesses as to what Emily is on Emily's mind today. And now we are going to get the word. All right, Emily, if anybody has not figured this out already, what is on your mind today?
I love cryptids, and I know you do too.
Yes, I do.
And this is my excuse to talk about them, considering that no one in my life thinks these things exist.
As we're sitting behind a poster of Bigfoot on my wall and 2 Bigfoot casts on my desk. So
the only things that, like, people think are really true is, like, skinwalkers, wendigos, and dogman. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because those are all Native American folk lore. Yeah. And my fiance, he specifically has said, yes, he's seen skinwalkers in the night and stuff like that because they don't look right. Specifically, he's seen deer and wolf ones where the legs are just not correct. They look twisted and stuff. But be it that everything after that, be it Bigfoot or any of the plesiosaurs or Mothman or stuff like that, no one believes.
Champy.
No one believes them. No one. Not a single person in my life.
Okay. So I have a question for you. So out of all of because there's a lot in cryptozoology, there's a lot. And I've talked, for those of you that are not aware of this, I've been writing this book of poetry about Bigfoot forever. And so I've been exposed to a lot of different people, a lot of different ideas. Some of them that are a little kooky, and then some that seem very plausible. So, out of all of the cryptids that you know, which ones would you say, yes, these are definitely real creatures, and which ones would you say, that's really pushing it?
Okay. First and foremost, since we already discussed it, I would say the Jersey Devil is probably completely fake.
Okay.
And the reason why is because the story behind it was literally the fact of this poor woman that the village just did not like.
Right.
And she had so many children, and this was her 13th child that apparently came out. And the whole entire city was like, yeah, we hate you, so we're going to make this whole entire story up about you. So that one I don't think exists because it was just slander on this poor woman.
Right. And I always wonder about stories like that, especially like with the Jersey Devil. If you can't tell, Emily and I love these kinds of things. But with the Jersey Devil, I'm thinking, so if she's given birth, I mean, it's an old story from, so if she's given birth to a child who has some kind of physical anomaly, suddenly she's given birth to a demon.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that I think, that's why I think the Jersey Devil is just, yeah.
It's a little hooky.
Yeah.
But, on the other hand, what I was saying again with the chupacabra,
right,
that probably exists, not in the way that people have said it, but it probably exists because dogs with mange exist. We've had evidence of cows and goats being literally maimed for, we have no idea why.
Yeah.
And, it's been a story in Mexico for centuries at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that one probably exists.
Chupacabras possibly, actually, could exist.
And, again, Bigfoot and the Yeti.
Yes.
That one probably 100% exists. They're just way too smart for us, apparently.
Yeah.
Because they know how to hide. Unlike us, which we're not capable of hiding in forests, and we're not frickin' hairy to live out there. They just know how to use the environment to their advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
They know. The plesiosaur thing with Champy, Loch Ness Monster, I've heard so many different things on those, be it, a plesiosaur would never be able to live in the loch, it's not big enough, it's not deep enough, there's not enough food in there.
But don't animals adapt
to
their environment?
They do. And for all I know, there could be a pygmy plesiosaur.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, yeah, you get trapped and then animals adapt to whatever their environment is. There's
a tiny little pygmy plesiosaur in all these places.
Exactly.
Be it Champy or be it, the Nessie.
Yeah.
I think the Champy one came around in early 1900s when people started going around Champlain. There might be one when we were starting to explore it, but I don't know on that one.
Yeah.
But okay, next one, Dogman. Dogman, be it a local cryptid. I can't tell you anything on my opinion, but I can tell you on Frank's opinion, is that he's seen the damn thing.
Frank is your...
Fiancé.
Yes. Okay.
He has seen the damn thing.
All right.
Running through the res. In the middle of the night.
It's so fascinating.
I'll take his word for it.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
I trust him. The res is a strange place sometimes. Be it he's also said the skinwalkers and the Wendigo stuff. And be it that native culture and spiritualism is, I wouldn't doubt that they...
Well, and Bigfoot is part of Native American lore as well.
Exactly.
Hugely.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if stuff like that, specifically because, skinwalkers and Wendigos have actually some basis of Wendigos are people who succumb to cannibalism in the winter, and they've turned into these demons. And skinwalkers are just natives who practice bad magic.
Yeah.
And they transform themselves and cause havoc. So, be it for natives, this is entirely true. And, since Frank has seen these things, and I believe him entirely, yeah, these things exist.
Okay.
100%.
All right. So have you ever had an experience with any kind of cryptid, whether it's like footprints in the snow or weird sounds in the middle of the night or something like that? Have you ever had an experience?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I
love this.
I
okay,
have.
Let's hear this. What have you had an experience with?
So, we used to have a cabin out in Michigami. It was on Beaufort Lake.
Okay.
And we were right on the lake, and we had a deck around it.
Okay.
I slept upstairs because I didn't like sleeping in the traded basement or whatever. And we just also didn't have a bed down there at the time, so I slept on the futon upstairs.
Right.
We had the curtains closed, and I would stay up like until 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm a teenager at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
now we think 9 o'clock bedtime. You know, that's what I think. It's like, wow, it's really late.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Anywho, so I'm sitting there. I have the TV as low as it can go because the floor is really thin, so Dad can hear whenever I'm stomping around up there. And all of a sudden, on the porch behind me, I hear something go thump thump.
Ooh.
That's it. That's entirely it.
I just rubbed my hands together because the story's getting good now.
2 thumps. That's entirely it. And I jump because I'm like, what is that? And then I hear nothing else.
Ooh.
Just the 2 thumps, and I'm like, those sounded like footsteps. I have no freaking idea why it would come up here. There's nothing on the porch in the morning. There's nothing on the porch at nighttime because I turned on the light.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I have no idea, because it sounded like something very heavy.
Okay.
Not something like a bird flew into something, or like, because we have like wolverines up there, badgers and stuff. Nothing like that. Nothing at all. It was something heavy. And the reason why I don't think it was a bear is because it was just 2 thumps. Nothing else. Not 4 thumps, not 3 thumps. Not even something backing up.
Right.
It was just 2 thumps. And that's it. And my dad didn't hear it. Because I don't know why.
But it was closer to him than you, obviously.
It was closer to me, actually.
Oh, it was closer to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
because how it worked is that I'm in the living room. Right under him, right under me is his room.
Okay.
Then behind me was where the sound came from in the kitchen.
All right.
I still have no idea what happened. I truly think it could have been something Bigfoot adjacent.
Right. Okay.
Or I don't think it was human because it sounded way heavier than a human would ever sound. And a bear, I don't think would come up on a porch so close to humans.
Yeah.
Unless there's trash. And our trash was in the house. There was no trash outside at the time. So I have no idea.
You have no idea. Now another question that I have then, because I love ghost stories too. So is there any kind of like possibility that it was paranormal that way, where it was a ghost or something like that would have done that?
I don't think so.
No.
And that's because the cabin itself I don't think is that old.
Okay.
And I don't think it's built on anything like weird or whatever.
Anything like that. So okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's paranormal in any way. And before you ask, no, I've never had any paranormal stuff happen.
All right. I was just that was my next question.
Oh, I could hear it. I could hear it.
Yeah, you're like Emily's looking at me like I know what he's going to ask next.
Oh yeah.
So,
but like we did have a thing that I wanted to see at my friend's house. Every single person who had stayed over there had seen the guy, had seen the ghost.
Right.
I never saw him. And I was so upset. Because I'm like, in the middle of the night, everyone's like, yeah, have you never seen the trench coat man? I'm like, what do you mean the trench coat man?
Trench coat man. Ooh, that sounds really fascinating.
What do you mean about the trench coat man? And everyone's like, yeah, he's just this guy that wanders around the property. He like sits in chairs and he looks out for the property. He's a benevolent spirit. And if you see him, it means you're probably making a bad choice.
Oh, okay. So you never made a bad choice.
Oh, no.
So the trench coat man never had to, like, show up and go, don't do it.
But I wanted to see the trench coat man. I really did, because everyone else in the house was like, yes, I seen the trench coat man. He was sitting in that chair over there. Or I seen the trench coat man. He walked past my window. Or I've seen the trench coat man. I went to the bathroom and he was standing in the corner.
Oh, that's terrifying. Mm-hmm. That's really... We're going to have, like, do another episode where we talk about ghosts.
Oh, yeah. That'd be fun.
That would be fun, too. But, okay, so cryptids.
Yes.
So, you had no idea what... Has anybody else in your family had an experience like that with noises or anything like that?
Dad is way too logical to think anything through this. I have talked to him about multiple things on this, be it paranormal, cryptid, or even mysterious disappearances of planes. He's like, oh, that's hooey. Oh, that is complete hooey.
Okay, so only your fiancé is, like, into the cryptid thing. So.
Except I still try to talk to him about that stuff, and it still goes whoop over his head. Because some of the stuff he doesn't really believe in.
There's other things like incredibly large, like, birds too. That's in native culture as well. Those kinds of things.
Actually, at NMU, I took a Native American culture class, and one of the things that we actually talked about is back when with thunderbirds and giant beaver stuff is that those actually existed because we have fossils of those things. There actually was a giant beaver. There actually was a giant bird, Argentavis, which could have been the thoughts for these things.
These things.
Yeah. Thunderbird and the giant beaver. And, I mean, there's even, like, water panthers.
Oh, yeah. I love those, too. See, it's so fascinating. I mean, honestly, I really believe that things like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them, Yetis and Thunderbirds and Chupacabra and everything like that you get in all of these mythologies have to have some kind of basis in actual fact in order for them to happen, you know, and you know, it's really hard for those of you that are listening. They're going, oh my God, these people are out of their mind. You have to think, especially for certain types of cryptids that you hear about, like Sasquatch or something, where Sasquatch just didn't, like, you know, emerge from the National Enquirer pages, you know. This is something that goes back not just decades, but centuries and centuries and centuries, where different cultures have talked about it. And the fact that Sasquatch or Bigfoot-like creatures, literally stories of those kinds of things, exist on every single continent of the world. So it's really hard to sort of discount something like that. So if you're just, like, writing off and saying, oh, you know, people are crazy or something like, but, you know, it's really hard to say all of these things happen everywhere, and how can you say that the entire world is not telling the truth or making stuff up? It's hard to believe that.
Oh, yeah. I even had a conversation with Mary Bowerman the other day. We were just shooting questions off
and
of each
Mary's
other.
from the circulation department too, so yes.
And one of the questions she asked me is, of the two, which one do you think would actually be more likely to exist, werewolves or vampires? And we decided on vampires. And the reason why is because there's so many cultures around the world that have some sort of human figure that drinks blood. And some sort of human figure that also is undead. Whereas with a werewolf, a lot of them they're hairy people, which is an actual disorder. People do grow a lot of hair on them, and it covers their whole face. I think it's called, the colloquial term is werewolf syndrome.
Right, yeah.
I don't know what the actual term is.
But there is a physical thing that happens with people like that.
Yeah. So that's probably where that comes from. But the fact that so many cultures, be it in Europe or South America, North America,
Asia,
have something that drinks blood and is some sort of, like, demonic presence, that's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
And the same thing with, I've said this before, with dragons as well. So many cultures have some sort of dragon picture. And also, it's not a coincidence that the Aztec Quetzalcoatl dragon has similar features to an Asian dragon.
Yeah.
The Eastern dragons, the lungs. They're very similar if you look at it.
Yeah.
There's some sort of, like, connection.
Yeah, and, you know, it's really hard, like I said, with cultures that are so desperate, so far removed from each other, to have the same kinds of creatures described almost to a T, to the exact, you know, thing. And it exists in separate cultures, separate times, and societies and everything but it happens. You know, whether you want to talk about a collective unconscious or something like that, where that's part of it. I'm teaching a class in mythology right now where we talk about stuff like collective unconscious and how things can happen in one culture, and same thing, like flood narratives are present everywhere. So, you know, you just can't discount those things because they are so present. Now, people who are listening here might say, okay, these people are just weird and, you know, whatever, you know, you're too arty for me, whatever. But I mean, you know, it's all about, you know, like, not accepting it. If you just are approaching the subject and saying this is a lot of crap without actually doing some investigation of your own, then that's sort of like going on Facebook and accepting everything that Facebook gives you. Oh. It's really hard when you actually go and do a little further study to completely and totally discount the possibility of these things. Absolutely.
100%.
So Emily and I are on the same page. We'll go blow to blow with you on this.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so but yeah, I mean, for me, the way that I use and think of Bigfoot, I mean, Bigfoot has been like this huge metaphor for me about all kinds of stuff that that people struggle with and deal with, and and I do think that there is a possibility. You cannot discount the possibility of something like that existing. Now, champy, plesiosaurs, and stuff like that, maybe, I'm not so sure, but I always keep an open mind to things. You have to.
Oh, yeah.
So, and if you're not keeping an open mind, we're going to move on to our next segment here on the podcast. But I was so excited that Emily wanted to talk about cryptids today. So, and next time Emily comes on, we're going to talk about ghosts.
Oh, yeah. I'm down for that.
I am so down for that one because everybody has a ghost story.
Oh,
everybody has a ghost story.
And I am so ready to talk about the Winchester Mansion.
Oh,
I'm so ready.
I love that.
I'm so ready.
All right. Well, there you go. That's the word from Emily Couts and myself. And Emily's from Peter White Public Library Circulation Department on hairy and winged and scaled things that go bump in the night.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't let you out of the nerd Bigfoot trap just yet, Emily. First, I need to find out what you've been reading that's good, something that has been distracting you during the day or causing you to lose sleep at night. So, Emily, what book would you recommend listeners pick up off the shelf? All right, Emily, what have you been reading that's good?
Again, as I did before, I'll give you two.
Okay, awesome.
I'm giving you the first one because it actually is in the library.
Okay.
And it works with the subject.
All right.
It's the United States of Cryptids.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it was last March when it got on our shelves.
Okay.
And I picked it up immediately when I saw it on the news shelf.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because it goes state by state through their cryptids and explains, like, the story, when the first sighting was, specifically if there's a main city that goes with it, stuff like that. And it even has illustrations with it, too.
Oh, my God. I can't believe I missed this.
It's good.
How did I miss this? Okay.
It's really good. And it was so informative and fantastic. It even talks about, like, some of the places that do festivals as well for this. There's, I think, a big festival in Maine.
Okay.
That they talk about. And this guy went to every single one of these places and talked and interviewed people.
And got paid to do
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
That's amazing.
So that was a fantastic book.
Okay, United States of Cryptids. Okay, so what's your second book?
The second book that I'm currently reading is Argylle.
Argylle, okay.
It's a book tie-in to a movie.
Okay.
Where it's the book from the movie.
All right.
It's not the novelization, it's specifically the book that's in the movie.
Okay.
And I really wanted to read it. Mm-hmm. I made a suggestion, and Amy, who does all the ordering for books, did my order real quick.
Wow, nice.
And it came in like 2 weeks after I suggested it.
Okay.
And it's been a lot of fun.
Okay.
Because I saw the movie beforehand.
So what movie was it?
Argylle.
Oh, it's called Argylle.
Yeah, it's Argylle.
Okay.
It's called Argylle.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm. And it's so much fun because I saw the movie first, and the character in my head is Henry Cavill from the movie itself.
Okay.
With the sidekick being John Cena.
Oh, wow.
So it's lovely to have those pictures in my head already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
It's a spy thriller. That's
right.
what it is. And it's specifically like Moscow politics and stuff like that.
That would be so good.
So it's a lot of fun.
All right. So Argylle and then the United States of Cryptids.
Yes.
Those are your recommendations. So anyway, that's Emily's recommendation of a couple books that you should pick up off the shelf. And we have come to the end of this cryptozoological episode of Library Nerds with Words. I want to thank Emily Couts from Peter White's Circulation Department for taking time out of her schedule to stop by Nerd Squatch headquarters. Come back next week when I will be joined by Berkeley Thompson, who is a frequenter of the Teen Zone at PWPL and a New York Times author. She is very young. She's a freshman in high school, and she just had something published in the New York Times. So really interesting, and we're going to share she's going to share some of her writing with us. So stop back next week, but until that time, everyone, stay nerdy. Thank you for listening to Library Nerds with Words, Peter White Public Library's weekly podcast, giving you the word on what's cool at the library. The theme for the podcast is Happy Clappy by John Bartman, used courtesy of Pixabay. This episode was written and produced by Martin Acketts and sponsored by Peter White Public Library. Until next week, pick up a good book, listen to some good music, watch a good movie, attend a great event, and remember, library nerds are the coolest people around.